me record this and let me share my screen too. See, before we do migration, first of all, we need to understand that why are we doing migration? What is the reason behind the migration? Whenever we are doing migration, migration will happen for a reason, right? Majorly, there are two major reasons. So we do migration because of operational efficiency, right? Operational efficiency means, let's say you are running 100 servers in your on-premise, right? Let's say you are running 100 servers in on-premise. If you would be able to find out the cost of the 100 servers, right? And let's say you find out the cost of the 100 servers is going to be X dollar. It could be $1,000, $5,000 a month, whatever infrastructure you are running. So how can we find out how much we are paying in order to run the infra in on-premise? There is a tool. There is a tool called as TCO, Total Cost of Ownership Calculator, right? There is a tool called as TCO, Total Cost of Ownership Calculator. See, if you go to Google or to Bing, you can just type TCO calculator. If you type TCO calculator, you can see this tool, Total Cost of Ownership Calculator. If you use this tool, if you put the information about your on-prem, how many servers you have got, what are the configuration of those servers, CPUs, how much RAM they have got, how many virtual cores they have got, whether they are SQL servers or not, which operating system you are using, how much disk you have attached. So basically, if you put, see, let's say if you click on add server workloads, how many Windows server you are running, how many Linux server you are running, what are the operating system license, right? Servers, how many servers you are running, how many processors per server, how many cores per processors, RAM, CPU, whether you are using GPU or not, graphic cards or not, whether you are using Windows Server 2002 or more. So basically, if you provide information about your on-prem infra, you would be able to get the cost that you are paying in order to run your infrastructure right now in on-prem. We also know that we can make use of TCO calculator. With the help of TCO calculator, we can find out that how much we are paying to run the same infrastructure in Azure. If the cost of running the infra in Azure would be less than the cost of running the infra in on-premise, that could be the primary reason we are trying to migrate to Azure, right? So it is because of operational efficiency. We will become better efficient. That's the reason we are moving to Azure. Second could be, let's say on-premise data center will always have a certain limitations. Maybe the limitation of your on-premise data center is you can host 1,000 machines. Out of 1,000 machines, you have already hosted 900 machines. You need to host, let's say 300 machines for a new project. Now you have the physical boundary in place. Maximum is 1,900 we are already running. We would not be able to host 300 machines. So what we can do is we can put things in cloud. In cloud, we are not getting any such restrictions, right? Third is maybe let's say your data center lease is going to expire. When you try to calculate the cost, maybe you have to pay a huge amount in order to renew the data center lease. Then probably you are thinking of moving to cloud. You don't have to pay hefty amount in advance. You have to pay whatever you are going to use. Fourth would be you are doing acquisition. Maybe you are acquiring one company. Physical data center limit was 1,000. You are already running 900 machines. The organization that you are acquiring, that organization has also got 700 machines. You cannot host everything in your data center. Probably you would like to move to Azure. So why are we moving towards Azure? Because of operational efficiency. Second major reason could be we are trying to move to Azure maybe because of application innovation. Let's say you're trying to innovate your application. Right? When I say innovate your application means mostly in data center, you will find we are running the applications in virtual machines. In Azure, you have a lot of options. You can run application in virtual machine skill set, containers, Kubernetes, service fabric, web application, function app, logic apps. So maybe you are trying to innovate the application. Maybe the top management team has decided that these applications will be playing a crucial role in the organization growth, and they want to innovate those applications. That is the primary reason you are moving towards Azure. Whenever we are moving towards Azure, there will be few things we need to consider. We need to consider our people. We need to have a proper planning and process, and we need to use the right technology, right? When I say people means all the business stakeholders should be well updated. They should be well informed. They should be well updated. They should be well informed. If in case you have a team, maybe you have an IT team who is taking care of the infrastructure in on-premise, you have to upskill that team so that they would be able to manage the infrastructure in cloud. You have to provide proper training, proper guidance. A proper planning and process has to be there. A well-defined dates has to be there. A proper process has to be there. We are not going to move the entire infra in a single go. We will be moving them in small batches. We will first do testing, then we will start to move things in production in small batches. Whenever we are moving things, we will try to move things along with their dependencies. For example, if you are moving an application server, that application server has a dependency on a database server. Probably you would like to group them together and you would like to migrate them together. Right? So proper planning and process has to be there. Technology. While you are moving things, you have to use right tools, right? You need to make use of right tools. See, whenever we are migrating things, so let's say if in case you are moving things, then you need to make use of right technology. See, whenever we are doing migration happen in phases. It doesn't happen in a single go. It happens in certain phases. First of all, let's say you are trying to migrate from on-premise to Azure. First of all, what you need to figure out, how many machines you are running in on-premise. Let's say you are running 1000 machines in on-premise. First of all, you would like to discover the machines. You would like to run a discovery. You would like to discover all the machines. Let's say out of 1000, when you were trying to discover the machines, you were only able to discover 800 machines. Why? 200 machines might be off. They might be shut down, right? Or they might not be operating at this point in time. So out of 1000, we are only able to discover 800. After discovery, you have to do the assessment that out of those 800 machines that we were able to discover, how many are in a position that we can migrate. Maybe let's say out of 800, you can only migrate 600 machines. 200 machines are running very old operating system. Let's say they are running Windows Server 2003, or they are running a very old Linux operating system, right? Or it could be possible that they are running on, let's say, 32-bit operating system. In Azure, we can only have a 64-bit machine, right? So maybe out of 1000, we are only able to discover 800. Out of those 800, 600 has passed the assessment test. 600 are in a position that can be migrated. Maybe let's say out of these 600, right now, I only want to migrate 400, right? So we have to do these things in phases. So when we are running discovery, when we are doing assessment, when we are migrating things, we need to use a right technology. When I say technology means there are multiple tools that you can make use of to do the discovery, to do the assessment, and to migrate things. We refer these tools as ISV as well sometimes. ISV stands for Independent Software Vendors. There is a Microsoft tool with the name Azure Migrate. There are other third-party tools as well. Cloudamize, Unify Cloud Recon, Atlas, Bitchian, Chef. There are multiple tools which are available, right? So basically, you need to use right tool, right technology to do all these things, right? After that, what are the common things that we can migrate? We can migrate Windows Server workloads. We can migrate Linux server workloads. We can migrate SQL Server workloads, right? We can migrate applications. These are the common things that we migrate, right? And as we discussed, whenever we are doing a migration happens in phases. Migration will happen in phases. What are the different phases? First of all, you will try to do a discovery, or you can say you will try to do the discovery. You can say discovery and assessment you will be doing, right? After doing discovery and assessment, you would like to migrate things. You will do the migration. After migrating things, you would like to optimize things. You would like to do the optimization. After optimization, you would like to secure and you would like to manage things. So these are the major phases. These are the major phases, right? In Azure, we have a very good service, right? In this optimization, if I talk about this optimization a bit, for this optimization, we have a very good service in Azure called as Azure Advisor. So we have a very good service and it is referred as Azure Advisor. It's a very good service. Basically, Azure Advisor is nothing. It's a free cloud consultant. It's a free cloud consultant. With the help of Azure Advisor, you can get advice on cost, security, performance, reliability, which was earlier referred as high availability, and you will be able to get advices on operational excellence. Right? So basically, cost, security, performance, reliability, high availability, and operational excellence. Right? Cost. Let's say you are running a virtual machine. To this virtual machine, you have given 4 CPU and 16 GB RAM. Inside this virtual machine, you have deployed an application, and let's say the application is used by the HR team. Just an example, right? You have a machine on which an application is running. The machine has got certain resources, and this application is utilized by the HR team. Azure Advisor will monitor this machine for 20-30 days. After monitoring this machine for 20-30 days, maybe it figured out the application load can be handled with the help of 2 CPU and 8 GB RAM. It will give you an advice that you can downsize this machine from 4 CPU 16 GB to 8 CPU. Sorry, from 4 CPU 16 GB to 2 virtual CPU and 8 GB. If you downsize this machine, then you would be able to save the cost. If you downsize this machine, then you would be able to save the cost of it. Right? So you would be able to downsize this machine. You would be able to downsize this particular machine. Similarly, let's say you have some identities. Let's say you have one user to whom you have assigned the global administrator role. To a user to whom you have assigned the global administrator role, let's say if this user credentials will be compromised, it can make a huge security impact on the entire directory. So it will give you an advice, enable multi-factor authentication for this user. Let's say you have one more user to whom you have given the owner rights, owner RBAC role at a subscription level. Again, it will give you a recommendation that enable multi-factor authentication for this user, or maybe enable identity protection for these users, right? Depending upon what license you have got, it will be giving you some advices. So basically, we can get advice on cost, security, performance, reliability, and operational excellence. So these are different phases. Whenever you will be migrating things, there can be 3 scenarios. So let's say I'm trying to migrate my virtual machines. If you are trying to migrate your machines, there can be 3 scenarios. First is the machines might be running in on-premise. They might be running in different cloud. Let's say they're running in on-premise. In on-premise, either they will be running in VMware environment, right? You might be using VMware environment in the on-premise, or you might be using Hyper-V environment, right? Or these could be the physical servers that you are trying to migrate. So either they are virtual machines which are running in your on-premise, but these virtual machines are running into the VMware environment or into the Hyper-V environment, or they could be physical servers. So first of all, you have to decide what kind of an environment you have, right? Let's say we have a VMware environment. Let's say we have a VMware environment, right? Okay, let's say this is how our environment looks like. Let's see here. So let's say here we have got the VMware vCenter. Here we have got the ESXi hosts where the virtual machines are running. Right here we have got the ESXi hosts where the virtual machines are running. So these are my ESXi hosts where we are running the virtual machines. Right. So let's put it like this. Okay. So this is, I'm saying this is my vCenter server And this is the ESX hosts and VMs. These small boxes are the VMs which are running on your ESXi host. What do we need to do? We need to migrate these machines to cloud. So first of all, in Azure, you need to use the Azure Migrate service. Which service you will be using? You will be using Azure Migrate service. And inside Azure Migrate service, you have to create an Azure Migrate project. You will have to create what? Azure Migrate project. Whenever you will be creating a project, you have to give a name to that project. Let's say I give it a name AZ303 migration project. That's the name I give to this project. So which service we need to use? Maybe I'll go to my Azure portal and maybe I'll use the Azure Migrate service. Right? I'll say Azure Migrate. That's the service we would like to use, Azure Migrate service. And in this Azure Migrate service, I'll be creating a project. That's the Azure Migrate service. When you go to Azure Migrate service, see, what are you trying to migrate? Are you trying to migrate your on-premise data center to Azure? I'm saying yes. What are you trying to migrate? Are you trying to migrate servers, databases, and web applications? Or are you just trying to migrate the databases? Or are you just trying to explore some more scenarios? I'm saying I'm migrating servers, databases, and web applications. Right? Now here, what do you need to do? You need to create a project. I'll say, let's create a project. When you'll be creating a project, it will ask you to choose the subscription, the resource group, and then the name of the project. Let's say I give it a name AZ303 project. In which region you are trying to do this? Let's say I'm creating this project in United States. Whatever region you want to select, you can select it accordingly. I am saying create. So project will be created. Right? So this project will be created. Now, once a project will be created, so here the project will be created. Now, in order to migrate things, we need to do the discovery, we need to do the assessment, and then we need to do the migration. What do we need to do now? We need to do discovery, we need to do assessment, and then we need to do the migration. See, so once the project will be created, now we are inside this project. So here we have got some assessment tools. Here we have got some migration tools. So one tool is Azure Migrate. Using this Azure Migrate tool, we can do the discovery and we can do the assessment. The first stage, we would be able to do the discovery and we would be able to do the assessment. There can be a question, we do not want to use a Microsoft tool. Maybe we would like to use a third-party tool. Is that possible? Absolutely. Absolutely, it is possible. If you want to use a third-party tool, you can go with a third-party tool, right? See here, you will see add more assessment tools. Just click on here. When you click on here, you would be able to see some third-party tools, CloudAmize, CloudSphere, CoreNTech, Device42, MoveAir, Unify Cloud Recon, right? Turbonic. There are multiple tools. Let's say I want to use this tool. You'll click on this tool and you will say add. Obviously, either you have to purchase a license for this particular tool, or maybe you would be able to use this tool as a free trial. And then you have to register this tool with the Azure Migrate project. If you are willing to use this tool, either you should be using it as free trial, or you will be purchasing a license for this tool. With free trial, you will have certain restrictions, certain limitations. Let's say you are using it in production, you have got the license for this tool. You have to register this tool with the Azure Migrate project. Right? So if you see here, so either now we can use the Microsoft tool, that is Azure Migrate Discovery and Assessment tool. That's a Microsoft. I can use a third-party tool as well. Now we have Unify Cloud Recon as well. You need to register this with the Azure Migrate project, right? I'm not using this tool. Just wanted to show you. If you want to use some third-party tools, that is also possible. Now I would like to use this Microsoft tool and I would like to discover the machines. I'll click on Discover. When I click on Discover, it will ask me, are your servers virtualized? If I say yes, my servers are virtualized, it means in on-premise, either I'm using VMware or I'm using Hyper-V. If I say my servers are not virtualized, it means they are physical servers or they might be running in a different cloud. They might be running in AWS, GCP, or Zen, right? Let's say I'm saying I have a VMware environment. We are running the servers in VMware. We are running the machines in VMware, right? So now what do we need to do? See, once you say that you're running in VMware, now I need to create an Azure Migrate appliance. Here, I need to create what? I need to create an Azure Migrate appliance. I need to create an appliance here. Where I'll be creating this appliance? I will be creating this appliance in on-premise in my VMware vCenter server, right? I'll be creating this appliance in on-prem. Question is how to create this appliance. If you want to create the Azure Migrate appliance, there are two methods of creating it. First method is first method of doing this is you can download the 12. Okay, you can download the .ova file. You can download the .ova. Just give me a moment, guys. Okay, so one option is we can download the OVA file. OVA stands for Open Virtualization Appliance. OVA stands for Open Virtualization Appliance. So basically, it's a 12 GB file. With the help of this 12 GB file, you would be able to create a virtual machine in your VMware vCenter server. So you can download this file into your on-premise into the VMware vCenter server. After downloading this machine, what you would be able to do after downloading this image, with the help of this 12 GB image, you would be able to create a virtual machine. That virtual machine will be acting like a Azure Migrate appliance. Whenever you will be creating a machine, you have to give a name to your Azure Migrate appliance. Let's say I give it a name, Jitin Migrate Appliance. Let's say I give it a name, Jitin Migrate Appliance. Right? That's the name I'm giving to it. Other option is, see what I'm doing, I'm creating a new virtual machine. I am creating a new virtual machine. Right? I am creating a new virtual machine. So if you are creating a new virtual machine, what you can do, instead of creating a new virtual machine, what do you need to do? Okay. Instead of creating a new virtual machine, maybe we can use the existing virtual machine. Is that possible that we would be able to use the existing virtual machine? Yes. Would we be able to use the existing virtual machine? Yes, we would be able to do so. Right? How can we use the existing virtual machine? If you want to use the existing virtual machine, first of all, the existing virtual machine should be Windows Server 2016 operating system. It should have 8 virtual CPU. It should have 32 GB of RAM, and it should have 80 GB of free disk space. And it should have 80 GB of free disk space, right? So one option is either we can create a new machine by downloading this OVA file. Let's say if we have an existing machine, and we want to use the existing virtual machine and we want to convert that existing virtual machine into the Azure Migrate appliance, we can do that. First prerequisite is the existing virtual machine should be a Windows Server 2016 operating system, 8 virtual CPU, 32 GB RAM, 80 GB of free disk space. If it meets this requirement, then we can run the PowerShell scripts. In this machine, we can run some PowerShell scripts, right? You can run some PowerShell scripts. Now, question is from where I'm going to get the PowerShell scripts? You will get an option to download 50 MB file. This would be like a zip file. You can download this 50 MB file, which would be like a zip file, When you unzip this file, you would be able to get the PowerShell scripts. When you unzip this file, you would be able to get the PowerShell scripts, right? You would be able to get the PowerShell scripts. You can run those scripts into this particular machine. If you run the PowerShell scripts into this particular machine, this machine will turn into the Azure Migrate appliance, right? Where we are creating this? In the on-premise, in the VMware vCenter server. Now you need to register. See, we will be collecting the information from this machine. Now, with the help of this Azure Migrate appliance, we will try to discover these VMs. How can we discover these VMs? We will be creating a VMware vCenter account. We will be creating a VMware vCenter account. This account should have read access over these machines, the machines which are running into our ESXi host. So from VMware vCenter server, you'll be creating like a user account we'll be creating an account, a user account, and that user account should have read access to all these machines. The account should have read access to all the machines, right? We will be using this account on this Azure Migrate appliance, and we would be able to discover these machines. It would be a agent-less discovery. It would be a agent-less discovery. We have not deployed any agent on these machines. No agent is being deployed on these machines. Agentless discovery. So we would be able to discover these machines. What discovery we would be able to do? We will be able to get all the information about these machines. What are the names of the machines? Which application are running onto the machine? What are their operating system? How many virtual cores they have got? How much RAM they have got? How many disks they have got? Whether they are SQL servers or not, right? We would also be able to collect the performance information, right? What are the throughputs? This throughput, network throughput, CPU percentage. We would be able to collect all this information. I think we have a question. Please go ahead. I think we have a question. Someone is trying to ask something. Please go ahead. Do we have a question, guys? Okay. Looks like no. See, now we have got all this information. Now we need to send all this information to the Azure Migrate project. How can we send all this information to the Azure Migrate project? We have to register this Azure Migrate appliance with Azure Migrate project. We need to register this. We need to register this Azure Migrate appliance with Azure Migrate project. In order to register this, we need a project key. We need a key. With the help of that key, we would be able to register this Azure Migrate appliance with this Azure Migrate project, right? Let's see how do we do this. See, we did what? We use this Azure Migrate service. We created a project with the name AZ303 migration. Now we can use the discovery and assessment tool, the Azure Migrate tool. I'll say discovery. It says, are your servers virtualized? I'm saying yes, we are using VMware vSphere hypervisor. See, what does it say? It says to discover your on-premise environment, you will need to deploy an Azure Migrate appliance. This appliance they are talking about, Azure Migrate appliance. The following steps will help you set up and configure the appliance. Discovery requires a vCenter server account that has read access to the servers you want to discover. They are talking about this account. Should have a vCenter server account that should have read access to these servers that we discussed, right? See, if you only want to discover these machines, you don't want to discover these machines, To this account, you can only give access to these machines. If you want to only discover these machines, or if you only want to migrate these machines, to this account, you can only give access to these machines. So it depends upon you. To this account, what kind of an access you are giving. Are you giving access to all the machines, or are you giving access to the certain machines? Right? Says you can scope the servers to be discovered by restricting access on the account you specify. Performance counters that can be used by performance based assessment will also be collected. It will also be collecting the performance based assessment. Network throughput, disk throughput, CPU percentage, memory percentage, it will be collecting all this information, right? Then it says generate your project key. Why do we need this project key? We need to register this appliance with the Azure Migrate project. For that, we need a project key. Before you generate a project key, it says start by giving your appliance a name and generate the project key. It says give a name to your Azure Migrate appliance. So in this diagram, what name we have given? We have given it a name, Jitin Migrate appliance. So maybe I can put here the name that we want to give to our appliances, Jitin Migrate appliance, and we can say generate key. So first of all, we have given a name to our Azure Migrate appliance, and then we are generating this project key, the project key which is required to register the Azure Migrate appliance with Azure Migrate project. Right? We are generating this project key, which is required in order to register this. This will be generated in a moment. If you see here, now question is how to create this Azure Migrate appliance. It says download Azure Migrate appliance. After you have generated the project key, you can either download the OVA file, virtual machine image, which is nothing but a 12 GB file. So you can download the OVA file. OVA stands for Open Virtualization Appliance, to set up the appliance, or you can download the zip file with the PowerShell scripts. Install the appliance on an existing physical or virtual machine, right? See, you have this OVA file. With the help of this OVA file, you would be able to create a new machine. If you already have an existing machine, and if existing machine is meeting these requirements, Windows Server 2016, 8 virtual CPU, 32 GB RAM, 80 GB of disk space, you can run the PowerShell scripts. How will you get the PowerShell scripts? This is a zip file, 50 MB file. If you unzip this file, you would be able to get the PowerShell scripts. Right? It says before you start, ensure you're meeting these prerequisites. To set up the appliance, either create a virtual machine in vCenter server from the downloaded OVA file. The OVA file that you are downloading, with the help of this file, create a virtual machine in vCenter server, or you can execute the PowerShell script which you have got from this zip file. Execute the PowerShell script from the downloaded zip file on an existing physical or virtual machine. That existing physical or virtual machine should be running Windows Server 2016, 32 GB of memory, 8 virtual CPUs, and around 80 GB of disk. That's how you would be able to create this machine. And then using the account which has a read access on these machines, you can initiate the discovery. You can initiate the discovery. Right? You would be able to initiate the discovery. Right? Once the discovery will be done, if you go to your Azure Migrate project, on the left hand side, you can see something called as discovered items. Here you would be able to see all the machines that you have discovered. Here you would be, see for which project we are doing, AZ303 migration project. For which appliance we are doing, we have given it a name, Jitin Migrate appliance. So in this project, with the help of this appliance, whatever machines will be discovered, you would be able to see them here. What are their names? What are their IP address? What are their source, software inventories, which softwares are deployed, dependencies, SQL instance, whether any web application is running, core, memory, disk, all this information you would be able to get here. All this information you would be able to get here, right? Any questions, any queries, anything guys, before we jump forward? Any questions, any queries, anything guys, before we jump forward?
Jitin, I have one question. If any, all the machines are only domain joined machines will discover there. Which are the machines created on VMware, all it will discover in that, right?
See, if you are in the enterprise world, I think all your machines will be domain joined, right?
Yeah.
Would you be running any machines on work group?
Some machines like edge servers or some servers will be on DMZ, right?
See, if you are running some specific machines, then probably
Mm.
onto those machines, the machines that you're running in work group, how will you give access from this account? How will you manage the access from this account? The machines that you're running in work group. So maybe what we can do
Mhm.
for a time being, we can move them to domain. And after they have moved to Azure again, we can change from domain to work group. That is any given time we can do, right? Want
Okay.
to join a machine from workgroup to domain, you just need to enter the domain credentials, maybe some local administrator or maybe some domain administrator credentials you need to enter. And later on, once it's migrated, maybe you would be able to unjoin the domain. You can bring it back from domain to workgroup.
Okay.
Second is you can do lift and shift. If you do not want to do this, you can create a
Mm.
virtual machine in Azure. You can create a
Mm.
virtual machine, the same configuration, the configuration that you're running in on-premise for that workgroup machine. By default, when you create a machine, it will be in workgroup. If you do not want to join that machine to domain, that's okay. So what you have done,
Mm.
you have created a new machine. Whatever application you were running onto that workgroup machine, you can run the same application here, and then you can deprovision that machine from on-prem.
On-premise.
You can do
Yeah.
lift and shift. That would be the other option. That would be the easy option if there are like one or two workgroups machines. If there are 50 or 100 workgroup machines, then it would be a challenge. Then you have to create 50 to 100 machines, like maybe manually or maybe by using ARM template. So there are multiple
Okay.
options of doing it, right?
Mm. Actually, that work group machines also created in VMware only, right? Why it's do not possible to discover in this?
Okay, I thought you are running them in on-premise, not in VMware. Means without VMware you're running it. If you are running in VMware, no challenge. If you are running them in
Mm.
VMware vCenter, then this
Mm.
account that you are creating here would be able to get access onto that workgroup machines as well. Then with the help of
Yeah.
same steps, you would be able to migrate those machines too. It
Okay.
depends upon this account. This account
Mm.
will have read access on whatever machines, whether they are domain joined, whether they are on workgroup. If this account has read access onto those machines, let's say these machines are workgroup machines, the other two machines are domain joined machines, and this account has read access on all the machines, we would be able to
Mhm.
discover domain joined machines, we would be able to discover workgroup machines, right?
Okay. And I have one more question. I
Mhm.
have some physical servers also. So in 1,000 servers, around 50 servers are physical servers. We need to create some another project for that for
Absolutely,
physical
absolutely,
servers.
absolutely. You have to create another project for that. So
Another project.
either
Okay.
you can, yeah, create another project. See, if you go here, see, let's say if I go back here, the process would more or less be same. The process that we are
Okay.
discussing right now for VMware process more or less would be same. There would be hardly few changes. See,
Okay.
earlier we need to create a VMware vSphere hypervisor. If you go with Hyper-V, maybe let's say you have an Hyper-V environment, still you have to
Mm.
create, still you have to create this Azure Migrate Appliance. Still you have to
Mm.
create this Azure Migrate Appliance. Only difference would be here we were creating the Azure Migrate Appliance with the help of Ova File. Now we will be creating this Azure Migrate Appliance with the help of VSD, virtual hard disk. See, here also you
Okay.
need to create the Azure Migrate Appliance. How to create this Azure Migrate Appliance? This time we can download the Azure Migrate Appliance with the help of the VSD, virtual hard disk, right?
Okay.
Almost same steps. If you are saying that you want to migrate some physical service, if you say that you want to migrate some physical service, then also you have
Mm.
to create the Azure Migrate Appliance. To discover on-premise or cloud environment, you need to deploy the Azure Migrate Appliance.
Okay.
How can you get the Azure Migrate Appliance? By following these steps. How can you get the Azure Migrate Appliance? Now, if you are running the on-prem environment and that to physical servers, you need to select one physical server in your on-premise. The one
Mm.
physical server that you are selecting in on-premise will be acting like your Azure Migrate Appliance. The physical server that you will be selecting, the physical server needs to meet this requirement. Same requirement. What is the requirement?
Okay.
Windows Server 2016 GB, 16 GB of memory and 8 virtual CPUs, right? Only difference
Okay.
is instead of 32 GB, it has to be 16 GB. Minimum should be 16. You can take it 32 as well. And this physical server, you need to download the zip file where we will have the PowerShell scripts, and you need to run those PowerShell scripts. So now we have only one option. You have to use the existing machine, existing physical server. That existing physical server should meet this requirement. You need to download the zip file. You have to unzip the file. You need to run this PowerShell scripts. That physical server will become your Azure Migrate appliance. Right?
Okay, if you don't have physical machine ready, we need to be ready with like
You have to create one. You have to get one.
Okay.
If you are trying to migrate physical servers, either you have to use one of the machine as an Azure Migrate appliance, or you have to get one. Right?
Okay. Got it.
Here, how would you be able to do this? The physical machine that is now acting like your Azure Migrate appliance, the discovery requires access credentials to the servers you want to discover. Now, whatever servers you want to discover, you should have the access credentials to those servers. You can scope the servers to be discovered by restricting access on the account you specify. Right?
Okay.
That's how you would be able to do it. So if it's domain join, maybe you can use the domain admin credentials, which will have access to all the servers on the domain. You would be able to discover them, right?
Yeah.
So process more or less is same. So if you understand this process more or less for VMware, for Hyper-V, for physical servers, process more or less is same with some 1 or 2 steps here and there, right?
Okay.
Okay. Any follow-up questions, sir, before we proceed further?
No. You can go ahead.
All right, see. So let's say once we are done with the discovery we were talking about here, and let's say we picked up this. So let's say we are able to discover the machines. Now, what do we want to do? Now we would like to migrate the machines. So for migration, again, we can use some tools. If I scroll down here, we can see some tools for migration, right? Here also say that you can discover. So how do you want to discover? I'm saying VMware. How do you want to replicate? There are two methods here, agentless or agent-based. If you choose agentless, this is the same method that we have discussed, agentless. If you say, I would like to do an agent-based, then you say agent-based. It says, hey, what is the target region? If you can recall the discussion that we had yesterday, when we were creating Azure Site Recovery, we have source region, we have target region. Source region was West US, target region was South Central US yesterday. Now, what is my source region? On-premise. Source is on-premise, where the machines are running. What is the target? While I'm migrating the machines from on-prem to Azure, in which region I would like to create the machines? I am saying I would like to create the machines in East US. Once you confirm the target region, you would not be able to change that later. And in this migrate project, migration tool will only allow replication to this target region. It clearly says here, target region for migration once confirmed cannot be changed for the project. After confirmation, server migration tool in this project will allow replication and migration only to this target region. So let's say tomorrow you want to migrate your machines to West US, you have to create one more project. In this project, it will only allow replication and migration to East US region, right? I'm saying, okay, I confirm. It will create some resources. It will basically create a recovery service vault in the backend. It will create a recovery service vault in backend, right? Once this will be created, what you have to do then, after that, you have to create a replication appliance. After that, you have to create a replication appliance. This replication appliance will have two components. One is configuration server and one is process server, right? First of all, question is, how will I create this replication appliance? In order to create the replication appliance, you have to download OVF file, right? You have to download the OVF file. It's like a 22 GB file. It is nothing but a template. It is nothing but a template. You have to download this OVF file. With the help of this OVF file, you will open a template wizard from VMware vCenter server. And with the help of this template, you will be creating a virtual machine where in on-premise in VMware vCenter server. This virtual machine will be acting like a replication appliance. This replication appliance will have two major components, configuration server and process server. Configuration server coordinates between on-premise and Azure. configuration server coordinates between on-premise and Azure and manages data replication. Process server, it acts like a replication gateway. Process server, it acts like a replication gateway. It receives data, encrypts data, cache data, and then sends it to a Azure Migrate project. It acts like a replication gateway. It receives data, cache data, compress data, encrypts data, and sends it to the Azure Migrate project. So absolutely, we have to register this appliance with Azure Migrate project as well. We have to register this appliance with Azure Migrate project as well, right? Now question is how we are going to receive data from these VMs. Whatever machines you want to migrate, on all these machines, you will have to deploy an agent. The machines that we are trying to migrate, in all these machines, we have to deploy an agent. The name of the agent is Mobility Service Agent. You need to deploy this agent on all the machines that you want to migrate. And after deploying this agent on all the virtual machines, you will have to register these machines. You will have to register these machines with the replication appliance. Right? See, it says VMware, we are using agent-based replication. We are going with the replication appliance. When we say replication appliance, the replication appliance configuration server is a virtual machine, is a virtual appliance that is deployed on-premise. The replication appliance coordinates and manages replication for the servers that are being migrated. How to create this replication appliance? You can download and deploy the replication appliance by downloading this OVF file, 22 GB file, right? Download the replication appliance virtual machine template and import it into your vCenter server using the deploy OVF template wizard. You will open OVF template wizard from VMware vCenter. You will import this template and you would be able to create a machine. You have to register this machine with the Azure Migrate project. You have to register this machine with the Azure Migrate project, and the VMs that you want to migrate, you have to install an agent on these machines. That's how you would be able to do the migration. Any question, any query, anything guys so far?
Jitin, I have one question. We need to mobility service agent. We need to be physically. We need to go servers install or any
You can do a push install.
push install. Any okay.
Via group policy, you can install it, right? If you are using some tool, let's say if you are using SCCM, if you are using some endpoint configuration manager tool, you can do it with the help of this in a single go. You don't have to do it one by one, right?
Okay.
There are a lot of tools. There are a lot of tools with the help of which you can do it, right?
Okay.
You may do it with the help of some automation tools as well. If you are using some automation tools, mostly people can do it with the help of group policy, or you can do it with the help of any configuration manager, SCCM or whatever configuration manager you're using. You can do it with the help of that.
Okay, this configuration server will fetch everything with including OS. It will fetch the
Absolutely. OS, data, application, configuration, everything. What
like
is there
image,
in that machine? Like an image, like an image.
Okay. And while doing this, is there any production servers are there? Applications are running and users are accessing from the internet. While doing this, any downtime or any delay or something, anything will happen for applications?
Not much. See, there will be some difference, but not much. Let me share some articles. I think that will give you, see, I'm sharing some articles in the chat window. I'll share like 3-4 articles. One is how to migrate physical servers. Then I'm sharing an article how to migrate Hyper-V servers. Then I'm sharing an article how to migrate VMware machines. Right. So if you go through the entire articles and if you check for the availability issues, will there be any production downtime or something? You will not find hardly any production downtime. Downtime,
So like a seamless action background.
seamless action background, absolutely.
Okay.
Right. Any questions, any queries, anything, guys?
Any challenges will face while migrating this?
Absolutely.
Mostly, which type of issues will come? Some servers, some servers data will not be migrated. Any in between any stock or something, it will happen like that, or it will go smooth every server.
Uh, See, there can be a lot of issues if you are doing it with the help of, see, mostly people do it with the help of PowerShell scripts when they are trying to bring automation. There can be, you might have to make a lot of changes into the PowerShell scripts, right?
Mhm.
Bandwidth has to be good. Some websites, some ports you have to open. For example, this works on 443. Configuration will be, server will be sending data on port 443. Process server will be sending it over HTTPS, but over port 9443. So if port 9443 is not open, you have to open that, right?
Mhm.
When you will be moving things, the machines will show you in 4 colors. One with green color means everything is good. You can simply migrate the machine. Then it will show you with
Okay.
orange, means the machine can be migrated, but you have to change some conditions. For example, let's say here, the machine is running 2 virtual CPU and 9 GB RAM. In Azure, there is
Mm.
no such size, 2 virtual CPU and 9 GB RAM. So either you have to change the size, maybe 2 virtual CPU 8 GB RAM or 2 virtual CPU 4 GB RAM, right? You have to change the size. So it's showing in
Okay.
the orange. Orange means you can migrate it, but you have to meet some conditions. Then it will be showing you
Mhm.
with a red color, means these machines cannot be migrated. Maybe they're running very
Okay.
old operating system, or maybe they're running some sort of a hardware which is not supported, or maybe 32-bit operating system. Then you will be
Okay.
seeing it with the blue color, which means readiness unknown, means when the discovery was going on or when the assessment was going on, those machines were turned off. So they were unable to figure it out whether these machines can be migrated or not. You would be getting the entire list. You will have to probably look into those machines one by one. You might face some issues on the activation. You may have to reactivate the machines. Activation might be a problem.
Okay.
So the link that I have shared, if you go through those links, see, it says post-migration best practices. What best practices you can do post-migration, right? If you try
Mm.
to explore those links, you will find some issues as well. What are the common issues you may face during migration, right? What are the
Okay.
common issues you
Okay.
may face during migration? For example, if you type here, common Azure migration issues. So there can be a lot of issues. So when we'll be working on it, depending upon error to error, we may be able to do that. Right.
Okay.
So it says troubleshoot Azure migrate issues. So here you would be able to see. Sometimes you might face some issues with the, maybe let's say you're trying to create the Azure migrate project, but the person do not have the appropriate access, right? Your ISV
Mm.
could be a challenge because data is being replicated from on-prem to cloud. So I have shared this link in the chat as well. See, how can I get the appliance working? Maybe your appliance is not working. This appliance that you have created,
Mm.
maybe it is not working. So these are some common issues. Maybe application app discovery is not working. Maybe application you are unable to discover. Assessment is not working. So there are some
Okay.
common, or you can say troubleshoot Azure migrate projects. So I'm sharing some more articles. So you can look into this, right? These will be like self-explanatory. So that's, you can just give it a read and probably it will give you some more clarity.
Okay. I have one more question actually.
Mhm.
Okay, this appliance is discovered on the server and the data got migrated to this server. Which one?
Cloud.
Cloud. Okay. After that, that on-premise application will be it will be running, right? In on-premise only it will running. Once everything complete in migration, then only we can turn off that on-premise. That application will be live from cloud.
Absolutely. See, once the machines are migrated to cloud, first of all, maybe you can do the assessment. Maybe you can do a test if everything is running as
Mm,
expected. If you figured out that
mm,
everything is respected on the application which is running on cloud, then you can do a cutover now. maybe you can now stop the machine, on-premise machine for a moment, and check if everything is running smooth in cloud. Maybe for 2-3 days or 7 days you figured out everything is running as expected, then you can start deprovisioning the machines from on-prem.
Okay. And this back end network IPs subnets, everything we need to be
Same.
we need to be ready with all setup, right?
Yeah,
Before
see,
migration.
if you are migrating to East US, then first you have to create a virtual network in East US. Maybe you would like to give it the same range that you were running in on-premise. So in on-premise, your network range is 10.1.0.0/16. You can give the same range over there in the Azure, right?
Okay.
Any other question?
Okay. Got it. Got it. Thank you.
All right, guys. So that is all for my end. So thank you very much. I'm stopping the share, and have a good rest of the day. At any point you feel you have any questions, please feel free to send me the message on the same WhatsApp group. I'll be happy to help. Right?
Sure. Sure.
All
Sure.
right. Thank you, guys. Have a good rest of the day.